Annyeong 친구들. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to Singer Dad Reacts. My name is Josh, and thank you for your patience. I've been out for a little bit. I just had knee surgery, actually, so if you could see under my desk, I have it all propped up. It's got what I call the Frankenstein brace on it, which requires me to keep it completely straight, and I can't put any weight on it for like 4 to 6 weeks, so it's been an adventure, but I wanted to get back to it, and I thought it's been a little while since I reacted to the group Forestella. Super talented quartet, and I really did not do well last time in trying to make sure the names were correct with who is who within the group. So I've done a little bit of research since then to try and make sure that I get their names right and what they contribute to the group, right? So I should be better off this time with that. So several of you recommended that I do a reaction to their version of Scarborough Fair from Simon and Garfunkel. So for those that are new to my channel, what I do is I do a lot of research, kind of, as a preparation for my reaction to better understand the song in question and the history and the artists and their interpretation, and along with that comes the lyrics and interpretation of the lyrics. So I will jump into my interpretation of the lyrics, and then we'll go directly to the reaction. So if you're not into this part of my reaction, as far as going through the lyrics and all that, then feel free to skip forward in the video to my reaction. Again, thank you for your support and patience with me. I'm going to try to do better and get more reactions posted. And I've also got a new mic. I've had some issues with my recordings where the sound was just really poor quality. And so I, for my birthday, got a brand new mic that's one of the best out there. And so hopefully things are better now, and we don't have any issues with the audio. So with that, I'm going to jump into the lyrics. Okay, so Scarborough Fair is interesting. It has quite the history to it. It dates back quite a ways, and it's like an old folk song that has been, of course, sung by different artists. Simon and Garfunkel's version is a little bit different, but ultimately the premise of this song is about unrequited love, meaning the love that never happens type thing. So they're giving each other impossible tasks that can't be, performed by either of them as a requirement for them to take this other person in as their love. So what I also thought was interesting was when I was researching the words that come up several times in the song, parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. For the Romans, parsley was a symbol of death and rebirth, often used to decorate tombs. Sage was a healing herb and thought to impart immortality and wisdom. Rosemary was the herb of remembrance used both at weddings and funerals, and thyme was said to give courage. So these Roman meanings and symbolisms kind of tie in with the general feel of this song, and so I thought that was interesting. But I'm going to go through the lyrics here, verse 1. And before I jump in there, I always try to look for lyrics that are specific to that performance. So I tried to find the Forestella specific lyrics, but I didn't find any online. The closest I found was the Simon and Garfunkel lyrics. So hopefully these lyrics are the same or close to what Forestella chose to use for their version of the song. So just wanted to kind of give that little disclaimer. Verse 1, are you going to Scarborough Fair? Parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. Remember me to one who lives there. She once was a true love of mine. So they have an interesting take here where they're saying, if you're going to Scarborough Fair, remember me to this person I love that that you may see there, right? Verse 2, tell her to make me a cambric shirt on the side of a hill in the deep forest green, parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme, tracing of sparrow on snow-crested ground, without no seams nor needlework. Blankets and bedclothes, the child of the mountain, then she'll be a true love of mine, sleeps unaware of the clarion call. Verse 3, tell her to find me an acre of land on the side of a hill, a sprinkling of leaves, parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme, washes the grave with silvery tears, between the salt water and the sea strands. A soldier cleans and polishes a gun, then she'll be a true love of mine. Tell her to reap it with the sickle of leather, war bellows blazing in scarlet battalions, parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. Generals order their soldiers to kill and gather it all in a bunch of heather, and to fight for a cause they've long ago forgotten. Then she'll be a true love of mine. Are you going to Scarborough Fair, parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme? Remember me to one who lives there. She once was a true love of mine. So I know that the war references in here came from another song that Paul Simon wrote. It's called, I think, Side of the Hill. And so that was like an anti-war song that he wrote. And so he kind of pulled some of the lyrics in from that song into Scarborough Fair. So it makes me wonder if they were using some kind of symbolisms here with maybe his true love is actually peace. And so if they can kind of move on from these acts of war and this focus on war, then maybe that true love of peace will come back and dwell in his heart type thing or something like that. That's just a thought that I had around kind of some of the symbolisms of the war type element that's interwoven into these lyrics. Let me go back real quick and see if there's anything else that stood out. Washes the grave with silvery tears. So that's, again, these are all kind of like war references, right? So like a loved one that's, at one of the soldiers' graves that died, bathing it with their tears type thing. A soldier cleans and polishes a gun. War bellows blazing in scarlet battalions. Gallant generals order their soldiers to kill and gather it all in a bunch of heather. It's almost like speaking out against war being enacted behind this premise of love, right? Scarlet battalion. Scarlet is like kind of a red color that denotes love, almost like red roses and stuff like that, right? Generals order their soldiers to kill and gather it all in a bunch of heather. So heather is kind of this. So heather apparently is something that's thought to have a cleansing property to it. So it could be that sometimes war is enacted to cleanse in a matter. And so this is kind of speaking out against that. And to fight for a cause they've long ago forgotten, right? So the same type of thing, right? So it's just continuing on to battle and war for, no justifiable reason, right? So yeah, that's kind of my take on it. As far as what the lyrics might be speaking of. You guys can give me your thoughts, and if you've done more research on your end, let me know what you found regarding the lyrics. I'm always keen to learn more about the premise of a song, the lyrics, and the backstory of the song, and also if you have any information as to why Forestella chose this song to sing, that would be interesting as well. With that, I will jump right into the reaction. And again, thank you for your patience. For those that haven't already, if you could please show your support for the channel and subscribe, click on the notifications bell, and you should hopefully be seeing some notifications coming soon here for other reactions as I kind of get back to being able to use my leg and create some more reactions. So I'm going to do the best I can with my situation and my knee. I have a little, if you could see my setup here, I have something I jimmy rigged down below that allows me to prop up my knee below the desk here. So I'm making it work so that I can do my regular work and also provide some reactions. So thank you. Let's move on. I love the bells there.
Are you going to Scarborough Fair? Parsley, sage, rosemary.
This is Mingyu, I believe. He's the leader of the group and one of the classically trained people in the group.
Remember me to one who lives there.
Nice.
She once was a true love of mine.
Yeah, you can really hear the resonance in his tone. I believe from my research, Mingyu and Wurim are the two that are classically trained, and Mingyu's the leader, Wurim is the bass of the group, and then Hyungho is kind of the falsetto tenor, sings a lot of the high stuff, and then Duhun is the other one that does a lot of the rock and stuff like that on the side. It's more of his style. So hopefully I'm correct there. I've been trying to, I did some research and wanted to make sure I had it correct, and I have a reference on the side here as well. So let's move forward here. Let me go back 1 second. Great tone though for Mingyu.
She once was a true love of mine. Are you going to Scarborough Fair? Parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. Remember me to one who lives there. She once was a true love of mine.
Yeah, I can see why that gentleman there had the chills. What's impressive, and I mentioned this before actually, I think in my reaction to them, is their togetherness for one thing. I mean, they are really very together in not only their cutoffs and the rhythms, but also in their dynamics. And that's a challenge to do that actually. When you're singing in a group and you're trying to make sure that your ebbs and flows, and when you increase the volume and you decrescendo and do things like that you're all together. It's very transparent as well when you're in a group this small. If one of the individuals, for instance, does not, sing louder and then softer at the same rate, it's very noticeable in a group this tight and this small. So very impressive, and they blend well together. That's a huge thing, obviously, for a group like this. Excellent, though. I'm excited to see what they do here.
Once was a true love of mine. Tell her to make me a Cambridgeshire. Parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme.
Young Ho's way up there. Oh, that's cool. Sorry, that's probably a bad place to stop. I'll rewind it and make sure I catch this transition. All of them have excellent voices and really good tone and resonance, but just different sounds, different styles, and that's great. It's the same thing with Pentatonics and these other groups, right? I mean, they all come together and create something beautiful, even though their voices are different. Let me go back here. And like I said, Hyung Ho, you can hear him like a lot of times he's like way up high. He's there kind of almost like a descant on the high stuff. See how it's a little bit further back. Yeah, there's I love how they're like singing different phrases. Nice key change. Wow. Exactly.
Once was a true love of mine.
Wow. He's got a range.
To Scarborough Fair. Remember me to one who is there. She once was a true love of mine. She once was a true love of mine.
Maybe this is Warren. Warren and Doohoon look a lot alike. This is cool. The stage is awesome.
Remember me
Yeah. I think he's Doohoon.
Once was a
Sorry about that.
true
Wow. Yeah, so I got those two mixed up again somehow. Doohoon and Worum. They look really similar in the picture I'm looking at right here. And then in the picture, they're lined up in a different order. So Doohoon is on the left. That's why another reason why I thought the person on the left was him. So, but it's apparent that the bass is in this particular performance is the one he's standing on the left on this one. Um, which makes sense with some of the. Let me show you what I'm talking about here, because the one on the right goes high, higher than I would think a bass could, and then is singing the lead part when you hear the bass in the background. So that tells me that he's not Warham. Hear the bass, and then you hear, yeah, of mine. I love how they have Hyung Ho pair off with different members of the group to sing a little part, a little phrase. Like in this case, it's Ming Yu, and I think he does the same with Warham after this. Let's see. Yeah, he's up higher. Yeah, and he's singing with the bass. Okay. Yeah, that's
going to Scarborough Fair. To all who lives there,
yeah.
she once was a true
What they did there is harder than you think. They did like unison, but they did it in different octaves. And sometimes it's actually harder to do it that way, because when you do it with two or more octaves involved with the unison, then you all have to be on the same pitch in different octaves. If you're on the same pitch in the same octave, then it's easier to tune to each other and figure out, oh, okay, yeah, something sounds off because I'm not sounding like this other person. But when you're in a different octave, you're not completely on your own because you have that other octave to tune to some degree, but it does make it harder um, to do a unison that way. So, and the fact that they're doing it so soft, um, as a vocalist, if you've sung stuff like this, singing soft like that and continuing to maintain the resonance and the energy behind the tone through to the last little where the breath goes away and the note is dissipated. That's a challenging thing for sure, especially when you're doing it as a group and you're all trying to do it together. And I don't know if they have someone that directs them. I see Mingyu kind of doing that a little bit through the course of their performance. On occasion, he'll kind of move his arm to kind of show rhythm or something like that. But I don't know if there's someone in the first row or something that's kind of directing them and so that they all can stay together. That definitely does help if you have one kind of metronome type person that is keeping you all together. But regardless, it's super impressive what they did with this song. Yeah, so Forestella, they're amazing. And again, sorry about getting those two mixed up with each other. They look a lot alike. So even this picture I'm looking at now, it looks like we're maybe a little bit taller, but it's not super noticeable. I wouldn't say it's my favorite of theirs, but they did a great job. And I forgot to say, this is for the Immortal Songs, similar to what So Hyung has performed on for this kind of performance show that I believe it's a competition of some kind. But yes, and the thing I mentioned in some of my other reactions that I love to see is the reaction from the crowd, right? When you see people kind of, when they zoom in on somebody and they're just going, oh, this is just crazy or whatever, those are always fun to see. And that's part of how you can know if you're putting on a touching performance or a stirring performance or just wowing people, right? Is when you can see the reactions from the audience and stuff like that. So, and that's when I've performed, whether it's on stage as part of a group or as in a solo type setting or as a performer in a stage production, I always love to get a reaction from the crowd and also like feedback from the crowd and things like that after the show and things like that. That means so much as a performer to have that, and especially for stage performance and for stuff like this, when you can have that, you can feel the crowd just like, listening intently to every note and the kind of the hush falls through the crowd type thing when you get to these kind of quiet moments in the song. That's just makes it that much more magical. So very cool. So they are awesome. Great group. I look forward to doing more reactions of Forestella. So please let me know in the comments below, what I should react to next from them, and I'll add it to my list. And let me know which ones. I know Champion is one I think that several of you suggested. So if that's one of the ones that you guys really love from them, let me know. For those that have been a part of my channel for a while, you kind of know which ones are going to really, wow me and hit with impact. So be sure to keep that in mind. If there are just super impressive vocals and heartfelt singing and difficult harmonies and things that are super impressive vocally done within a performance, those types of things are all going to really hit home with me and make it that much better a performance for me. So with that in mind, thanks again for your patience. I'm going to close out the way I always do by reaching out across the world to you to let you know that you are special, you are loved, and you can accomplish your dreams. And I hope that you have people around you that love you and have your best interest in mind and are striving to encourage you and help you to accomplish your dreams and to be happy and successful in life. And I hope that this channel, in some small way, can help light your world. And I thank you again, and take care.